Maybe I've been going nowhere lately. It's time to start all over and go for it. 'Cause they don't even know me yet. But that's something I don't regret. Every night I close my eyes and see only lavender dreams, baby. What can I do when a million things are running through? Million things I can't undo. I just sleepwalk, I just sleep talk. That's all I got. What can I say with a million things I can't erase? Million people I can't save. I just sleepwalk, I just sleep talk. Don't wanna wake up.
Hello, welcome back to my channel. Sorry if you can hear the fan. I'll make this very brief. I'm now back from book shopping. I had such a nice time. I bought loads of books. I was gonna film like a haul of what I got today, but I'm not gonna get peace and quiet in the flat today. I'll film that another day when I know that I'm gonna get a good chunk of time where the flat will be quiet. Yeah, it was nice. I got some good deals, mostly just bought quite popular books. And in this video I'm also planning on doing like a little update on what I've been reading and what I've been thinking about the books I've been reading. I'm just about to go for a shower, hence why I'm in here. I'm gonna take my makeup off and then have a shower, get all cozy. I'm gonna have a takeaway. It's Saturday night. I'm gonna go to my favourite burger place and then watch The Apprentice, and then I'm gonna read. I've been reading on the bus to uni, even though it does make me a bit travel sick. I'm trying to train myself to be able to read on the bus more, because it's like such a good chunk of time that I spend every day, like 40 minutes there and back, where I can read. So that's been good, and then I've been reading for like an hour in the evening, but definitely just being back at uni anyway, I'm just not going to get as much reading done. Today I went to Lighthouse Bookshop, which is a really, really nice independent bookshop, not very far away from me really. It's kind of like a political bookshop. It has a lot of, I'll discuss this in the haul, but it has a lot of like political books. And I went to Waterstones, which is the one in Edinburgh. It's quite big. It was quite busy though. I think I'm going to try and go another point like during the week, because they're open in the evenings, and maybe just have a more leisurely wander. And then I went to, is it Blackwells? I think that's what it's called. They had a very good deal in there, 3 for 2. But I'd already bought loads in Waterstones, so that was a bit annoying, but it was really, really nice. I've had a good day, and like I said, I'm gonna head off into the shower and order food.
I found somebody, I say you don't cross my...
So I think I'm going to do a bit of reading for a bit. I have eaten my burger, it was delicious. And yeah, I'm fancying sitting and reading. Currently I'm reading We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. Very, very famous YA novel. Heard a lot of good things. Currently I'm really enjoying it. I think I'm about 70 pages in. It's a fairly short book. I'm loving how fast paced it is, like, and it's keeping me so gripped. I think it's just going to keep getting better. So at the minute I'm really enjoying it, and it's definitely a contrast from the book that I read before this, which I just didn't love. But I will discuss all of that when I do my like haul from today and reading roundup for what I've been reading recently, which I will do. I'll give you guys that in this vlog at some point.
And she doesn't know that your favorite place is still mine. Now I take the long way home, avoid what I can't let go. I don't always think about you, but
Hey guys, so it's actually now the following Saturday. So last Saturday I did my book shopping and filmed a little clip of me reading. It was just too noisy to film like the proper book haul, but it's nice and quiet now, so I'm going to film everything I bought last week and also my reading updates, and then I might film a bit this evening because I'm gonna start a new book. I just finished a book yesterday. So yeah, I think first I'm gonna do what I've been reading recently. If you're only interested in the book haul, I'll leave a timestamp on the screen now of when I'll start the book haul. I believe the last book video I filmed was when I finished Conversations with Friends, and since then I think I've read 5 books since then. I'm going to check my Goodreads actually. Oh, 6, okay. Yeah, I've read 6, so I'm going to go in like the order of which I read them. So after I read Conversations with Friends, I read Bradbury Fahrenheit 451. This book is basically about this dystopian world where it is illegal to own books and read books, and instead of firefighters putting out fires, they actually start fires to get rid of books and people's houses down that have books in them. I think the concept of this is such a great idea. I just found that it, for me, edged too much towards kind of, it was just a bit too sci-fi for me, like the idea of these dog creatures that like shot things at people. I feel like the idea of books being illegal is somewhat like believable, and I think the message behind this of like consuming mindless information and not really thinking deeply about things like is such a good concept, but I just, for me, I don't think it was portrayed in the best way. Like it took it too sci-fi to the point where I think it just, for me anyway, lost the main point of the whole book. So I did not love this. Like it was still good, it didn't take me too long to read, and there were elements of it that I enjoyed, but there were just elements of it that I also just found weird and unnecessary. I gave it a 3 out of 5, which I think is being very generous, but I'll leave it at 3 out of 5. Like it was okay, but I wouldn't, well, I would recommend it if you like a lot of very sci-fi books, but if you more like dystopian sci-fi that is actually believable, I don't know if I'd recommend this. Next, I read this book with the most gorgeous cover ever, Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I just love the colours of this cover and it makes me want to go on holiday, and I really love this book. It basically follows, what's her name? Oh yeah, it follows this girl called Kaya who grows up in like the marshlands of the North Carolina coast, and her mum leaves when she's very young. There's a lot of like family dynamics in this, does discuss like abuse and things like that, and it basically ends up that she is kind of on her own growing up, and throughout that, alongside her kind of family development story and also her relationship development story, she kind of gets into different relationships with different people, also discusses race a little bit, but alongside all of that there's this mystery going on where someone has been found dead and you're trying to work out how the person died. I'm not going to give away the ending, but I feel like I saw it coming, but I also really didn't, but it made so much sense. Like I don't think it would have been good if it ended any other way. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. The descriptions of nature I found beautiful. There were points where I thought it was a bit slow, but overall I really loved this book. I thought it was beautiful. So I gave it a 4 out of 5. Next I read The Outsider, or The Stranger, however you want to say. I know it had 2 names and I didn't realise that, and I was looking at it on Goodreads and it was called The Stranger. I think it was The Stranger anyway. This is by Albert Camus. I believe that is how you pronounce his last name. This is a classic. I was recommended to read this by one of my friends. I found it in the bookshelf at home. It is quite a short book. It's like just over 100 pages, and if you have not heard about this before, the protagonist basically just cares about nothing, and it comes across very blunt, very brutally honest about things like his mother's death and then something that he ends up then doing, and it's just exploring a lot of like existential issues of like the meaning of life. And yeah, I enjoyed it because I find existentialism very interesting. There were also a lot of elements of this book that I absolutely hated, like the part where the old guy is really nasty to his dog, and then there's also this other guy that I'm kind of giving away a lot about the book here, but there's this other guy who basically abuses his ex-girlfriend, and I didn't really love that, but it is a very old book. I gave it a 3 out of 5. I really liked the ending where he's talking to, I think it was the priest guy. That for me like was when all the kind of existential issues like really came out. But in terms of the actual reading process of it, there were points where I was just like a bit confused, but more just how insufferable, to be honest, I found the main character, but I think that's the whole point of it. The next book I read was Small Pleasures by Claire Chambers. Now this book is a perfect example of don't judge a book by its cover. Like, how gorgeous is that cover? But I just did not really enjoy this book. It started off really well, really promising, and I thought it was going to be so interesting. It is basically about this journalist who gets contacted by this lady who says that she has had a virgin birth, and it's kind of them untangling that, and then the journalist kind of gets involved in their family dynamics and explores like relationships and things like that. But I just found that there was way too much within this that was left like unturned. Like, I wanted to know, without giving it away, when you find out the story behind the virgin birth, I wanted that to be explored a lot more. It was kind of just left, and I kind of felt like wasn't that one of the main points of the book. And then I just found it really dragged at some points. Like, it actually took me quite a while to read this because I was just bored. There were some like really nice descriptions about just the small things in life that are nice, and that was nice. But then also for me, the ending to this book, I just honestly thought was ridiculous, and I didn't understand it the first time I read it. I had to like read the afterword, yeah, to actually understand what had happened, and I just thought it didn't fit with the vibes of the rest of the book and just seemed really out of place. So yeah, I would give this like a 2.5 if I could, but we'll give it a 3 because I can't give it a 2.5, but if I could I would. Next book I read is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart, and finally we come to a book that I really enjoyed. Give this book a 4 out of 5. Like, I was tempted to give it a 5 out of 5, but I'm really reserving them for like the best of the best. I read this book in like 2 nights. It is so fast paced, you will not get bored. Like, I was gripped. I can't remember what the girl's name is, which is terrible. Basically, the protagonist's family own this island that they go to every summer. On the island, one summer there was a fire, and the protagonist cannot remember the nature of the fire, what happened, and it's kind of unpicking that as it goes on. So many twists and turns that I did not see coming. Spoiler, so skip like 20 seconds, but the part when it describes the dogs in the fire, I honestly like thought that was just horrific. I am so sensitive to animals, and I was sobbing. Like, this book will probably make you cry. It made me cry. I really liked it. It was very gripping, and I would recommend. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Like I said, I can't really describe why I wouldn't give it a 5 out of 5, but there was just something that wasn't quite there. And then the final book that I have read, and then we're all up to date, is The Vanishing Half by Bennett. Unfortunately, my copy of this, I have kind of ruined like the gold foiling a bit, which is a shame, but I don't mind books looking worn because it just shows that I've read it and really enjoyed it. And I read this on the bus every day, so it was like going around in my bag with me. Basically, it's about these 2 identical twins growing up together in a small southern black community. Age 16, they both run away, and it basically shows their lives after they've ran away. So one of the sisters is secretly like passing as white, and then the other sister isn't, and ends up marrying a black man, having a child, and returning to their hometown, whereas the other sister like continues to grow and like pass as white, and then marries a white man and has a daughter, and then the 2 daughters' lives end up kind of like intertwining. And I really liked like the first half of this. after that I found that it was a bit slow, and just for me, even though I think it discussed like such important issues, I think it tried to cover so much ground that I wanted it to like go into some of the issues a bit deeper. Like it talked about like the LGBT community, but then like covered it in a very surface level. Even the same with like Stella's experience of like when she actually went through the process of like passing as white, it just didn't go into that enough for me. Camera just cut me off. But yeah, in this book it has so many characters that for me it just tried to do too much. I think I prefer books when it focuses on maybe one or two main characters. That's just my preference. So like it is still a great book. I would give this a 3.5 out of 5 if I could, but I'm going to give it a 3 because I wouldn't put it on the same level as Where the Crawdads Sing or We Were Liars, but I did enjoy it. Yeah, now we're up to date with the books that I've read. We're going to start with my book haul from when I went shopping last week. So I went to the Lighthouse Bookshop, which is this really nice kind of like political bookshop. It's so nice in there. It's a lot bigger than you think it is from outside, but I went in there, then I went to some charity shops, then I went to Waterstones, then I went to Blackwells. So I went to a few different bookshops. I'm going to start with Lighthouse Bookshop, where I got one book, and that one book is Natives, Race and Class in the Ruins of Empire by Akala. I basically just want to read more non-fiction. I think I might start like having a non-fiction read on the go whilst I have a fiction read, or just through the summer will be when I do a lot of my non-fiction reading. I still need to educate myself more. I don't know everything. I don't think anyone ever really will know everything, but we can all try. So basically this says, I'll read the blurb. So from the first time he was stopped and searched as a child to the day he realised his mum was white, to his first encounters with racist teachers, race and class have shaped Akala's life and outlook. In Natives, he takes his own experience with education, police, identity and everything in between, and uses them to look at the social, historical and political factors that have left us where we are today. I think it will be a really good educational book. Probably quite upsetting, but I think that's necessary, to be honest. After that I went to some charity shops and I picked up two different books. So the first one I went into, I picked up The Road by Cormac Mccarthy, I think. I absolutely hate this cover. I've seen much nicer covers on Goodreads and things. I just am not into it, but never mind. This was recommended, I think Sunbeam's Jess has read it. I knew I recognised it when I saw it. But basically, a father and his young son walk alone through burnt America, heading slowly for the coast. Nothing moves in the ravaged landscape, save the ash on the wind. They have nothing but a pistol to defend themselves against the men who stalk the road, the clothes they are wearing, a cart of scavenged food, and each other. Was $2.99, so really cheap. And glad I found it, and I'm quite excited to read it. And then after that I went into another charity shop and found another, I think Sunbeam's Jess recommendation. This is Love and Other Thought Experiments by Sophie Ward. I've definitely heard someone talk about it and I think it was her. Again, I recognised it when I picked it up. This one was only actually, how much was it? It was really cheap. It's on the back. This one was $1.95, and the blurb basically says, Rachel and Eliza are planning their future together. One night in bed, Rachel wakes up terrified and tells Eliza that an ant has crawled into her eye and is stuck there. Rachel is certain. Eliza, a scientist, is skeptical. Suddenly their entire relationship is called into question. What follows is a uniquely imaginative sequence of interlinked stories ranging across time, place and perspective to form a sparkling philosophical tale of love lost and found across the universe. And I thought that this sounded a little bit like weird, a little bit different, but the kind of thing that I'd really enjoy. Then I went to Waterstones and picked up quite a few books. So the first one that I saw and picked up that I knew I was going to get is Sally Rooney, Beautiful World, Where Are You? I thought this was still on half price, but it turns out it wasn't, and it's a hardback, but never mind. This is basically, so Alice, a novelist, meets Felix, works in a warehouse and asks him if he'd like to travel to Rome with her. In Dublin, her best friend Aileen is getting over a breakup and slips back into flirting with Simon, a man she has known since childhood. Alex, Felix, Eileen and Simon are still young, but life is catching up with them. They desire each other, they delude each other, they worry about sex and friendship and the world they live in. Are they standing in the last lighted room before the darkness, bearing witness to something? Will they find a way to believe in a beautiful world? Yeah, it sounds right up my street. I think anything by Sally Rooney would sound right up my street. I also love the cover, so I'm really excited to read this. Only problem is I've been reading a lot on the bus and I just think this is like too big to carry around with me all day. So I might have to have 2 books on the go, like a bus book and a home book. Sticking on the Sally Rooney front, I also picked up Normal People. This is going to be my next read. I'm going to start it today actually. I want to read something that could possibly ruin my life before uni gets too stressful, and I basically watched this but I've not read it, so I want to read it, see how it compares. I don't really like doing it that way around. I'd rather read it and then watch the TV show, but never mind. I enjoy conversations with friends so much that I do want to read this, so I'm probably going to read it in the next couple of days. Probably going to ruin my life. I then got 2 books that were buy one get one half price. One of them was The Vanishing Other Half, which I have read, and the other one was Detransition Baby by Tory Peters, I want to say. This very famous book, like, need I even describe it? But it says, Reese nearly had it all: a loving relationship with Amy, an apartment in New York, a job she didn't hate. She scraped together a life previous generations of trans women could only dream of. The one thing missing was a child. Then everything fell apart, and 3 years on, Reese is still in self-destruct mode, avoiding her loneliness by sleeping with married men. When her ex calls to ask if she wants to be a mother, Reese finds herself intrigued. After being attacked in the street, Amy detransitions to become Ames, changed jobs, and thinking he was infertile, started an affair with his boss, Katrina. Now Katrina's pregnant. Could the 3 of them form an unconventional family and raise the baby together? I think this sounds like such a great book, and I love like the pink. It's such a little thing, but I love that. Yeah, I am excited to read this. Then the final book that I got in Waterstones was Norwegian Wood by Murakami. Again, this is such a famous book, but I'm going to read the blurb anyway. So, when he hears her favourite Beatles song, Toru Watanabe, I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing these wrong, recalls his first love, Naoko, the girlfriend of his best friend, Kizuki. Immediately he is transported back almost 20 years to his student days in Tokyo, adrift in a world of uneasy friendships, casual sex, passion, loss and desire. A time when an impetuous young woman called Midori marched into his life and he had to choose between his future and the past. Sorry, I was not reading that one very well, but I've heard so many great things about this. I absolutely love the cover. I think I really like simple but effective covers, and this is definitely one of them. And then finally I picked this book up in Blackwells. I was so annoyed because I went in there and they had this great deal on that was like buy 3 for 2, and every book I bought in Waterstones was on that deal, but never mind. And I picked up Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Maruta. Maybe mispronouncing that. Just what a cover, like so weird, out there. I love it. And the blurb basically says, Keiko doesn't fit in. She's 36 years old, she's never had a boyfriend, and she's been working in the same convenience store for 18 years. Her parents wish she'd get a better job, her friends wonder why she won't get married. Keiko knows what makes her happy, and she's not going to let anyone take her away from her convenience store. Just sounds like a nice little read. Like, I think when I need something that's not going to be too heavy, this will be a good read, and it's literally like 165 pages I think, so a nice small book. I think it'll be good. And that brings me to the end of this recap of what I've been reading plus haul. This is probably going to be very long, but I am now officially on a book buying ban. I need to get through some of the books that I've actually bought. I think I'm going to try and get through 6 before I allow myself to buy another one, because otherwise I'm going to get into a really bad habit of just buying more upon more books that I do not need. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this section of the video. I may carry this on and film it tonight, because I am going to be reading Normal People and ruin my life.